Hello, hello, hello. Yeah, it looks so different in here now. So, welcome to my whole new setup. Got the microphone in. So I hope everyone can hear me just fine. I hope everyone can see me just fine. I have my camera placed somewhere, not on my laptop anymore. Like I said, I've totally just set this up differently. I am, yeah, I'm pretty stoked, that I think that everything's looking better, hopefully sounding better, and we can get this going. More legit, at least more legit looking. It looks kind of pink, but all of my calendar friends, this is actually the background that I used for the American flag wrap around. So it's actually gray, but my lights make it look pink, and I kind of dig it. So I'm really happy about that. Um, so there's some things I want to get into tonight. Some things that are a bit spicy, or to some people, they're more spicy than I really think they are. I don't know if it's just because I don't see them as spicy, um, but I guess we'll see. Um, let's turn this down. I'm still getting this kind of, I guess, situated since it is kind of a new setup. This microphone's new. It's kind of like in my face. I actually have a real microphone now, and my camera's up there, so I'm having to look at what I'm doing and then look at the camera, look at you. So it's fun. I'll get used to it eventually. Um, anyway, so some of the stuff I want to get into tonight. One of the most, like, I guess, requested sort of topics are the Boer. And that's because, okay, so I don't see it as controversial. I think it's a given because what's happening to people in South Africa, and unfortunately, it gets into the whole racial argument. What's going on in South Africa is not only tragic, it's it's beyond human rights. Some people are calling it a flat out genocide. I don't know if it would get into the grounds of genocide, at least quite yet, or if it's just just severe mistreatment, going towards, or getting into the realm of genocide. But the history of South Africa is pretty wild. So South Africa is really known for apartheid. It was a terrible practice, and it went on. It started in 1948 when the Nationalist Party, they did the racial segregation, led by Daniel Malan. I could be saying his name wrong. And so it started in 1948, and it went all the way until about in 1989, F.W. de Klerk became president, and he began negotiations with the African National Congress, which led to the freeing of Nelson Mandela. If you don't know who Nelson Mandela is, then you absolutely know no history whatsoever. And that's also kind of really funny, but the whole Mandela effect, everything's that Nelson Mandela died in prison, and he did not. He was freed about 1989. And Obama, I think, even went to his funeral because he didn't pass away until, I think, during the Obama administration. I could be wrong on that one, but he didn't pass away until like after the 2000s. Apartheid still went on, though, until about 1991. That's whenever the apartheid legislation was repealed. And 1994, it was the first multiracial elections. And then Nelson Mandela actually, ended up leading the country. So, yeah, he didn't die in prison. He ended up running the country for a while after. So it went on. Just trying to think about my math, 1948 to about 1991. Let's see, that is 43 years, I believe. My math could be wrong. 43 years. So, as far as apartheid goes, It went on for 43 years. Terrible practice. That's just a given. Anytime that you're going to separate people on any kind of sort of demographics is a disgusting, absolutely disgusting thing to do. Apparently, the white population really mistreated the Native African population, and it was just a very shameful practice. And I don't think anybody should, could, or would deny that apartheid, you know, like that apartheid was terrible. Like that, it was bad. Um, Now, as far as who's been where, though, now I get that it seems that the Boer and the white population in South Africa are treated, say, like, colonialists or invaders, but they've been there since like the late 17th century. Now that's kind of like almost saying, well, some people still call white people in the United States colonizers. That's especially after Black Panther, which I thought was like really, you're gonna start quoting Marvel movies to further, being a jerk to other people. But the Dutch settled Cape Town about like 1652. Okay, and then the English took control of Cape Town, like from the Dutch in like 1795, and 1806 is whenever they took it over permanently. So, if you ever hear their accent, it's slightly English, but it's not. I don't know. It sounds almost Australian, but it's kind of in that realm because that's who ran the place. Now, it was a significant English settlement in the 1820s. And so all around, European populations, or people of European descent, I should say, have been around since late 17th century in South Africa. So these people, this minority of I guess, trying to flat out the white people in South Africa, they are a minority, about 14% of the population. They have been there for hundreds of years now, because it's 2025, and they first settled Cape Town in 1652. So that's their home as far as they know. That's all they know. And as far as people being there for that long, I have my personal opinions and feelings about that, which is, ask anybody in the United States, like, oh, I'm an American. This is like my, my nation, my country. This is who I am. And hang on, I gotta plug my computer. Sorry. Like I said, it wouldn't be my stream if I didn't have any kind of technical issues. So, like in the United States, your ancestors have been here for hundreds of years, even fought in the American Revolutionary War and whatnot. And that's all you know. And for these Afrikaners, that's all they know. The white Afrikaners, that's their home. That's all they know. But they're still being treated like invaders. And I get that as far as apartheid goes, they were the ones on top. But right now it's 2025. Apartheid ended in 1991. So that's how many years? Let's see. 34 years now. So there's adults alive right now who were either small children during apartheid, or they weren't even alive during apartheid. And it's getting to the realm where, do you want people to continue to pay for the mistakes of their parents, their grandparents, their great-grandparents even? And it's almost like I would say a fairness thing, but the thing is that people, I'm not in any way trying to justify what their older family did, ancestors and whatnot. But there comes a time, really, when you kind of, you're really trying to blame people for what somebody else did years ago that you may not have even experienced. And I think that's it's really sad and distasteful. So as far as the refugees goes, so the biggest controversy about this is the fact that they're white. They're white, and Trump is favoring the white refugees, they say. Now, yes, they're white, because they're of European descent. That's, you look at them, duh. Elon Musk is from South Africa, of European descent. But I do want to see, or I just want to show you what people are saying is making this hypocritical. They're saying because he caused all refugees to, I guess, come in, or in general, not even taking Ukrainian refugees, but Ukraine. Well, I can get into that can of worms later about government persecution and Ukraine and refugees. And I could arguably say that I think we should still bring in Ukrainian refugees, but it depends on the region, because if you recall, back in 2014 in the Donbass, what the government was doing there, which nobody thinks about or to talk about, they really don't want to bring that up to talk about Ukraine. But we're not talking about Ukraine now. So let me pull up this executive order, because this is where people are saying that Trump is being a hypocrite. So, okay, let's see. Right around here. Okay, so he says that, well, at least towards the end of Section 1, that the United States lacks the ability to absorb large numbers of migrants, and in particular refugees. And it does not compromise the availability of resources for Americans, that protects their safety and security, and that ensures the appropriate assimilation of refugees. Now, people are saying that the Afrikaners would be able to assimilate, much easier. They are of European descent. They were from a European, colony. I don't see how that's not true. They definitely can. I don't see that as an issue in terms of assimilation. That's what he is mentioning here. I don't think he's really saying that absolutely no refugees. He's saying large numbers of refugees, and he took in 59. So I see it mostly people justifying this because it's a race issue. People have issues mostly because of the race, but they still want to bring in Ukrainian refugees. If I recall, Ukrainians are Slavic and Slavs are white. Well, depending on who you ask and, when, what era. But I don't see the hypocrisy in it. I honestly don't. I just see people against it and solely bringing race into it, and still trying to peg apartheid on people who either were not alive during apartheid because they were just didn't exist, or they were children, very small children. And you can't put the blame of apartheid on children. People try to say, well, Elon Musk benefited from the white supremacy of apartheid. He was a child. If you recall, he actually came to the United States quite young. What do you expect him to do? Bust into the capital of or Cape Town or whatever and just end apartheid on his own? If people try to blame Elon Musk for apartheid or try to tag apartheid on him in any way, that is reaching for the smallest straws ever. Those little coffee stirring straws. It's trying to reach for those kind of straws. It's the stupidest thing. And I think that kind of argument's annoying. Just trying to peg apartheid on people who had nothing to do with it. People talking about the South Africa apartheid as if it's still an ongoing situation would be like if I threaten the Romanian government for reparations for the treatment of the Romani or else. It's dumb. Exactly. It's exactly. And I'm not saying that we should forget apartheid because we should learn from history. We should definitely, never forget history because that's how it repeats itself. But yeah, to continue that apartheid is still an ongoing situation, or that the people, like the Afrikaners that came, the Boer that just came here to 59, as if they had something to do with our apartheid or whatnot. The things that are going on in South Africa, I think they have all reason to leave. You have political parties chanting about, offing them, like clearly, and try to backtrack in interviews. Sorry, but like, if somebody didn't do something to you directly, I don't think you have the right to harm them in any way. I am a strong believer in the NAP. As everybody knows, I'm a huge believer in the NAP. If somebody has not done anything to you directly, you have no reason or right to harm them. And there are farmers who are being murdered. And I understand that they want to take back the land and whatnot, but some of these people have been on there for hundreds of years, and it's not right. Like, and trying to say that apartheid is the reason they want to take it back. Two wrongs don't make a right. It really doesn't. And it's all coming down to a lot of people in the world want to make it okay to be racist, but only to certain people. Two wrongs don't make a right. Just because if a certain race had a history or bad history of, race relations on, having the upper hand on race relations, doesn't make it right to flip it. Because that's how you continue racial tensions. If you're going to continue to, ride on people because of their race, regardless of what side they're on, you're never going to have any kind of unity. I don't know if it's just kind of my own rose-colored glasses kind of thing on it, but I just think it's common sense. I'm a total egalitarian. Like, treat everybody the same, regardless of their characteristics. And race is one thing that I think is like, there's cultural factors, but not even that deep. You can still treat everybody the same. I'm a Latina. I don't want anybody to treat me any better or worse because of that. I would be honestly disgusted even if I was being treated better because of that. Like, and I'm not talking about like whenever guys are like, oh, Latinas are so hot. Like, I like Latinas. No, because that happens a lot, because Latinas I know are kind of, but if like in the job, somebody was trying to promote me because they needed a Latina quota, which luckily DEI is being, but even give me special treatment, I would just be like, no, like this person like behind me or next to me like was here first, or this person also needs help, just can you do everything equally for everybody? And I would think that would make common sense. I just think it's sense. I think it makes sense. It makes too much sense for the world, probably, because this world is a simulation and it doesn't make sense. We are living in a simulation. We have to be, especially seeing all the stuff going on, especially with girls in Thailand in bars singing Kanye's new song. Yeah, we're in a simulation. Also, somebody replied to my post about that, saying that the people running the simulation must be bored. I agree. They're probably really bored. But let's go ahead and close that out. Now, there's just, like, you can read more through it on whitehouse.gov about the refugee thing. But overall, I don't think he's being hypocritical about accepting the Boer, because it seems like he has specifications about the refugees he wants in. Now, personally, I think if, if somebody's facing persecution, legit persecution, in their native country and they want to, refuge, elsewhere, I think they should be able to. I'm not saying yes, only the Boer. That's just not how I feel or how I am. As I'm saying, treat everybody the same. If everybody or whoever else has dire like situations in their native country, apply. I'd be fine with that. Of course, not at the expense of, the state and whatnot. But I think this Boer thing it's become a hot topic because of the race thing, because of the race issue and the history of apartheid, and it really is kind of just a race issue all around, especially what they're facing. And our people here, first you want to bring in refugees, but not those kind of refugees. This is the biggest hypocrisy, especially the left media. You see the biggest hypocrisy in the left wing media. Right wing media sucks, but the left wing media is so bad, so bad. I don't like the right, but I really can't stand the left. And y'all know that. I'm not even gonna hide it. But one thing the right has brought, at least, is Trump. Now, if you follow my streams enough, you know that my feelings about Trump, they vary depending on what he's doing. As a libertarian, he has done some things that I like, and as a libertarian, he does things that I don't like. I like that he freed Ross. I like that he's been discussing no tax on chips, because I don't think the whole tax thing is cool anyway. Taxation theft. And I've kind of seen here and there, little hints about the Fed and, looking into Fort Knox and seeing what's in there. That sounds kind of cool. Something's kind of cool. But I believe he's back now. I haven't really checked exactly. It's kind of up in the air. But Trump went to Qatar, which apparently that was I believe might have been the first time a sitting president has gone to Qatar, if I'm not mistaken, which is huge. And as I said in every stream, I just like the fact that he's working, and he's working a lot, because if we're having to pay our tax dollars to pay him, do your job. Biden just ate ice cream and fell off bikes the whole time, and that was what he did, because it was Weekend at Bernie's at the White House those entire 4 years. So I just like that Trump is a workhorse, at least. I like the guy better than I like his politics, because he's absolutely hilarious. But sometimes I'm just like, I don't really want my tax dollars for that. That's too much. Or, I don't like that sentiment. Or, tariffs do suck. The tariffs have kind of worked out in his favor, which I had the, what was the thing? I had the hunch that he's the art of the deal maker. He's got to be using these to bargain, which he did. And, he won the trade wars, which, okay, all right. Hopefully, we'll see better days. But that's not all Biden did. He also sniffed children. Unfortunately, the sniffer in chief, yeah, he was gross. Absolutely gross. I wonder, I kind of made a joke, whenever he picked Kamala as his VP, I was like, did he just go around and sniff all the possible candidates and just pick the one that he thought smelled the best? Because he hated her otherwise. He absolutely hated her. All right, so anyway, so Trump goes to Qatar, and they roll out the red carpet for him. He's Donald Trump. He's famous. We literally have a reality TV star as our president. And one thing I've noticed is that there are some cultures that value strength, okay? Especially masculinity and a strong male. Uh, you know, you can disagree with me all you want. Trump is a strong dude. Maybe not necessarily physically, but he's got like a spine of steel, guts of steel. Like the guy took it to the ear and stood up waving his fist and yelling fight. Like, yeah, I don't know about you, but I think that's pretty ballsy. Because I'd be crying. I'd be on the ground crying. But he's a strong dude. He's a very strong leader. You know, what he leads sometimes, that can be debatable, but he's a strong leader. I don't know of anybody who could deny that. Well, they roll out the red carpet for him in Qatar, and you know, that didn't surprise me at all, because in that culture, strong men are valued. Strong men are respected. So that was not at all surprising. And he was also given the highest civilian honor by the president of Qatar, which, you know, was not surprising. They're honoring him. They're giving him, you know, this and that, because he's a strong leader. And I like having a strong leader, honestly. I just wish we could have a strong libertarian leader with that same kind of spine and gall. You know, can we get some strong libertarian guys going? The strongest we have is Thomas Massey, but he is under the Republican tag. I don't think that there's too many rhinos and neocons to help boost him up, unfortunately. But he's fighting the good fight. I love Thomas Massey, always. Now, he also, like Trump, sorry, back to the topic. Trump also met with the Syrian president. He is the first meeting with the Syrian president in like a quarter century, I believe. And it was or face to face at least. And you know, the last Syrian president went to Russia, fled to Russia, really, because of the civil war, al-Assad. And now it is a different dude. Now, it's pretty a little controversial, because the new guy has some pretty sketch ties. Now, Trump did encourage him to dispel foreign terrorists, and he said Palestinian terrorists, and get good relations with Israel. Now, Trump with Israel here lately, we can get that into like a whole nother stream, because there's a lot that's gone on with that. But you know, with Qatar, he did clear some deals, some really good deals for our nation that on the surface sound great, but you know, I'm gonna kind of like critique it here. Like, I like the the fact that he did secure some deals, like at least 1.2 trillion. Qatar Airways is going to buy 210 aircraft from Boeing, which I wonder if Qatar Airways even researched Boeing, because they haven't had the best track record here lately as far as their planes go. And then the whistleblowers that just kind of decide to end it all right before they testify. So I don't know if Boeing is really the good one to make a deal with. However, Rand Paul did go on, I believe Glenn Beck it was, and mentioned how Boeing kind of operates itself like it's a wing of the government in a way, which they're not. They're a private company. But I don't know. I see Boeing as a very dirty company, because we know about those whistleblowers. Not just one. I think it's at least two whistleblowers. Now, he also solidified some more stuff with Qatar and U.S. energy investments, which I guess is pretty good. Yeah. All right. Yeah. Energy, whatever. And then another deal with Raytheon for drone and anti-drone tech. if you don't know who Raytheon is, it's one of the biggest companies involved in the whole military-industrial complex. And any kind of military-industrial complex company, like Raytheon, I find it a little sketch magetch, because I don't like the idea of the military-industrial complex still growing, expanding. That's because here's the thing. This is how I see it. All right, if we're going to sell stuff like drones and anti-drone tech to Qatar, or Raytheon is going to do it, that's going to give them more military equipment, right? Okay, they have more military equipment. Now, if they have more military equipment, what are they going to do? They're not just going to let it sit there. They're going to want to use it. So if they keep buying, they're going to want to keep using, or just use it in general. And so if anything pops off, the United States is going to get involved. All right? Because we're like sharks. There's blood in the water. The United States is going. Yeah, spreading freedom, because we're the capital of the military-industrial complex. And they are some of the biggest lobbyists. They fund the most rhinos, or any like bloodthirsty, money-thirsty politician probably has their own military-industrial complex lobbyist. So I wasn't exactly thrilled about that. The fact that what they're going to buy and invest in with our nation is military-industrial complex stuff. Because it's just, there's so much more that they can invest in than war stuff, war games, because that's going to end up dragging us into something eventually. Like, it may not happen next year, it may not happen in the next 5 years, 10 years, but eventually they're going to want to use those drones. I'm not saying they're going to use them first, but those drones are not going to stay dusty. It's just, they're not going to stay dusty. So, now, on the Qatari trip as well, Trump did send some, I don't want to say cryptic. He just flat out said to Iran that, they need to come to negotiations or come to terms about no nuclear weapon. He did, apparently he's been negotiating weekly with Iran since like April 12th. So he's been working with Iran, or trying to work with Iran, for quite a long time. Now, he also asked the other nations at the Qatari dinner, or wherever he was it dinner or just a speech? Either way, he did ask the other nations that were in attendance to help them with Iran, which was cool. We don't want to do that all ourselves. We want peace, definitely want peace. I don't see any reason why we should, could, or would go to war with Iran. Like, we have no business with each other. And the Houthis decided to stop, shooting our boats. So we don't have to worry about the Houthis anymore. But, the Iran thing, I get he's going for peace. I appreciate that. I really do. But I still don't see why we're even at that point to even fathom that we could go anywhere with Iran in that way. Now, I did pull up something here about his speech here. Now, let's see. So, I looked at this Al Jazeera post and got some information from there. And I don't know. I kind of just want to show you just this photo. It's just kind of funny. Let's see here. It reminds me of one of those memes. What was it? What meme is it? I don't know. Y'all might be able to figure out which meme it reminds me of. I don't know. Because I just thought it was the funniest picture. It's a picture of Trump with okay, so it's the Saudi Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman, the shaking hands with the Syrian president Ahmad al-Sharaa as Donald Trump looks on. I don't know. It just kind of looks like, what meme is it that looks like? Because it just looks so funny. He's just standing there way in the background. They're two, smiling at each other and just shaking hands. I don't know. I just thought this picture was absolutely hilarious. He's just like way in the background, just staring. Maybe the party one. Like, I don't know. That might be a good meme template right there. So, get some good memes. Maybe we'll post them. Post them in my thread in X. I would love to see them. Maybe some dank memes from current events. Keeps things lighthearted. Keeps things less super serial. Because sometimes things get too serial, and we need to chill out a bit. So I do want to take a moment. Sorry, still getting over that virus. It's just like it never wants to go away. Like, kind of got a little cough now. But I got water. All right. So I didn't want to get away too much or too far and forget to take a moment to showcase our sponsor. Yes, we somewhat have a sponsor for tonight, and sponsor is the same sponsor that we have every night, Pinky, whatever. Our sponsor today is the awesome libertariangoth.com, where you can find alt culture leaning liberty gear, such as the Make America Goth Again hat, which is very popular. And so is the Make America Metal Again hat. We have these in hats, like trucker hats, dad hats, beanies. Just amazing. Amazing, amazing. Yeah. And then if you want to see what we have that's new, you click over here on the Freshwater for the Tree of Liberty. And under the Freshwater for the Tree of Liberty is going to be all the new stuff. The newest shirt we have is also a tank top and a women's V-cut shirt, Cyberbully the Government. Great sentiment. Now, this was made into a shirt and a tank top by request. This says, the state is not your friend. Your elected representatives sell you out to the highest bidding lobbyist with every piece of legislation they pass. Choose liberty. And there's a reason why your liberties keep shrinking and your elected representatives' bank accounts keep growing. They're not your friend, and they are not. Not a single one of them. Maybe Thomas Massey. Thomas Massey could be your friend. He's sweet. He's a sweet guy. He's funny. He will water down your tea. So if you consider people watering down your tea not your friend, then I guess Thomas Massey's not your friend. If you know that, then you know. That was adorable. All right. Been wearing my taxation is theft tank top every day since the heat came. Thank you. I appreciate you. It's a good tank top. It's a really good tank top. Thomas Massey is awesome. Yes, he most definitely is. He is the best one we have in the House, and Rand Paul is the best we have in the Senate. I hope that if they're not going to impose term limits on politicians, I hope that they stay in as long as they can. They are a voice of reason in each chamber. All right, so let's get back into the topics for tonight. So, any Catholics in here? Any Catholics watching? Congratulations, you have a new king, leader. I don't know. You have a new pope. The new pope, from Chicago Pope. Now, I was raised a Cubs fan. I don't know if y'all know. I was raised a Cubs fan. I never really talk much about it, but yes, I was raised a Cubs fan. So I was a little biased, but apparently he's from the White Sox part of Chicago. So, oh well. But, yeah, new Pope. The new Pope, yeah, he hails from Chicago. Was living in Peru, working in Peru. I've heard some unsavory things, but I'm not sure about repeating those. But I just wonder how much they screen people for the Pope job, or if they just don't care. So it's mostly possible they just don't care. But yay, woohoo! American Pope. Wonderful. I saw the funniest Freedom Tunes cartoon about the new Pope. It was it's like duh church, like duh Bears. Like my dad's a Bears fan. I'm not. I'm a Tennessee Titans fan. But my dad's a Bears fan, so like I said, raised a Cubs fan. And if you ever like hear like any kind of Chicago fan, it's the Bears. So I sent him that Freedom tune. That was funny. So yeah, that was great. I grew up a Bears fan, and my mom still is. Now I'm a Texans fan. Kind of just moved down south for that one. Texans are all right, I guess. I don't really feel about the Texans either way. As a Titans fan, with the whole Houston Oilers thing, it's a little bit of but I don't hate on the Texans. I don't really feel about them either way. But I kind of get a little crap if I wear my Titans jersey if I'm back home, because the household is all about the Bears, the Bears. A Chicago Pope. I hope he doesn't take the position that Chicago deep dish pizza is a pizza. It's not. I've heard the argument that it's a pie. It's not pizza. And that Freedom Tunes, it's so funny that they actually brought up the whole pizza thing, saying that Italy took pizza, or tried to take pizza from Chicago, that the deep dish Chicago pizza is real pizza. So that was pretty funny. I personally never actually had Chicago deep dish pizza. But I do hear it's a bit different. Like the cheese is like on the bottom and then like sauce on the top. Like it looks like a pie. Like, I'm not knocking it. Okay, from Chicago, I'm not knocking your pizza, but it sounds or looks more like an actual pie than an actual like pizza. Like, yeah. Now, Chicago dog is where it's at. And I've never actually had one of those either. I've seen the Cubs play. I've been to Chicago and went to a Cubs game. It was so cold when I went to. I was little. We went to a Cubs game, and it was so cold. But we didn't get Chicago dogs, or I don't remember getting Chicago dogs. I will knock their pizza, haha. I mean, it's good, but it's not pizza. Well, then is it a pie? Is it really pie, or is it pizza? Like, of course, any from Chicago is gonna say it's a pizza, but it looks like a pie. I don't know. I probably wouldn't eat it anyway, but it's interesting. As a cook, though, I'm very much interested in the methods, though, and how it's done. But Go sports. Yeah. Go sports ball. Yeah. I do like some sports. Um, that's that's one thing that no one would expect is that I do like sports. I do like some sports. But this new pope, let's see. I should have brought a picture out of him. He looks I don't know how to say this. I don't want anybody to get offended, but he does look very, I guess, Midwestern. There's a kind of a look that some Midwestern men have. It's just like just looks Midwestern. What's his name? Like Pope Leo or something? Pope Leo the what is it? XIV is the 14th? Pope Leo the 14th. Let's just get his picture up. He just kind of looks like a Midwestern dad. Although he's a pope, he shouldn't be a dad. He's supposed to be celibate. I say supposed to be because I don't know. I don't know. But let's look. I don't know. He looks like a Midwestern dad. Completely. Unfortunately, he is most likely a White Sox fan and not a Cubs fan. But I don't know. Looking at him, he just looks like you'd see him at like graduation, like the kid in your classroom's dad. But he's kind of younger though. It seems like the last few popes were super old. Like he's got white hair, but let's see how old he is or anything else. Let's see. Oh, it's getting into his gender ideology and same-sex blessings. You know, I believe people should do as they please, but it's kind of odd to me when people expect others to stray from their religious doctrines just to suit modern narratives. I just, it's just weird to me. I don't know. Does anybody else find that weird? That people expect others to stray from their religion just to please like their narratives and things? Because I don't think anybody should be expected to do that. You know, it seems like Christianity kind of gets more of that. Yeah, Christianity is also the most blasphemed religion and is accused of the worst stuff, like of bigotry and this and that or whatever. You know, it's not like historically, you know, there's like the Crusades and everything else that people have done some terrible things in the name of Christianity, but I don't think that it's really fair. I think Christianity gets the short end of the stick, unfortunately. And I think a lot of that's because, you know, it's such the major religion in this nation that it's the whole like rebellious child thing and you see, usually on the left is where you see it. Usually on the left, you see that kind of sentiment where it's like they don't believe in the Bible, yet they know everything about the Bible and they will teach you everything about the Bible. Oh, you don't like the new Pope? Well, because it's too leftist? Well, I have some news for you about Jesus. Like, do I really listen to you? No. Now you want to act like you know something as if you follow? No. You know, all of that, I think it all is because the main religion in the West is Christianity. That's just a fact. And, you know, that whole rebellious child thing, I can get the whole rebellious thing, obviously. But there comes a point where it just gets cringe and it gets excessive. There's a difference between rebelling to be yourself and a difference of rebelling just to be blasphemous just to be an a-hole. And sometimes they just want to do that just to be an a-hole, and it's unnecessary. You know, I think unnecessary a-holedom I think you should have the freedom to do it, but it doesn't mean it's not cringe. All right. I've argued with friends many times that homosexuality and Christianity can't mix. If you want to be that way, otherwise fine, but don't act like it's fine within the religion. Well, here's the thing: is that if people are homosexuals, their relationship with God is up to them. Like, I also don't believe in, people persecuting. That's supposed to be up to God to do the persecution, not up to other people. People should lead people to God, but God really is the only one who could judge, in my opinion. That's how I feel about it. But, according to the doctrines, that's how it is, but it's up to the individual what their relationship with God will be about that. It's not my place to judge. I'm not the judge. Religious trauma is mostly one of two things in the US. I don't want to get up early for church, or I want to put things in my... I didn't want to say all that out loud because I didn't want that to get spliced. Because I don't know. Not that I don't trust you, but anyway. But yes and no. I think some of it is also they're just sick of hearing their parents preaching or something, and they just go completely a different way. And like I said, there comes a point where could just be cringe. Like, personally, I don't like to use or wear religious iconography because I don't, whatever I do or do not believe, I don't care to blaspheme. I don't, like, a lot of goths will wear like crosses and stuff. I really don't care to. Like, I do have some religious iconography stuff, but some people go overtly excessive with it. It's just not me. I have some like gothic cross earrings, but I got them because I like the aesthetic. And I do have some Our Lady Guadalupe earrings, and I got them because I like the art, the flat out art of it. I didn't get it for any kind of blasphemous purposes. Same with the gothic cross earrings. And some people just tread the lines beyond blasphemy into just cringe lord land. And I'll cringe myself. I don't really pride myself in being cringe, but I'm openly cringe. But sometimes with some people just get like excessive, just excessive. And it's like, ooh, you're so edgy. Like, overly edginess is excessive. Yeah, it's too much. It's unnecessary. There's absolutely no reason. So speaking of edginess, what's been up for a minute now is alternativesovereign.com. Now, the streams, if you notice, we discuss modern events. It gets a bit more political. It gets a bit more of in my head, and opinions and such. But at the alternativesovereign.com, you get your music, your news without the boot. It is still just starting out. It's still very small. At this moment, there are only 2 writers. If you want to be a writer for the alternativesovereign.com, you like music, alternative music, you like alternative culture, and you also want to remove the tongue of alternative culture from the boot of the establishment, hit me up. If you scroll down further, way down, there is a few boxes. Fill those out. Those do come to me. So I would love to hear from you. If you have a band that you want me to review, send it to me. If you're in a band and you want me to review your stuff, send it to me. I just recently reviewed an album or EP by Gasoline and Vertebrae. This is my personal newest article. And I go over breaking down every track. And I would love to do that for your band or a band that is small and you want to get noticed. So please send it to me. Our newest article on here is Dream Theater's Metropolis Part 2, Scenes from a Memory, the Apex of Sound and Story by Impure Hunter, where he analyzes Dream Theater's Metropolis Part 2. It's a great read. Read it myself. Wonderful. If you're a Dream Theater fan, we go over metal, industrial, goth rock, goth industrial, all alternative musics and sounds, and maybe even some like video games here and there. But of course, the AlternativeSovereign.com is sponsored by LibertarianGoth.com, the largest alt culture geared Liberty apparel shop. So of course I had to throw that in there. But yeah, you look through, some of these don't really go much of anywhere. But yeah, the newest 4 will be here. My Chaos and Carnage review from when I went to the concert is in here. And I got from cringe to this because of Corpse Pile. They were very cringe. Very cringe. So, check it out. TheAlternativeSovereign.com. Read some stuff about some music. Listen to some music. I have the link to Gasoline and Vertebrates album at the end of the article. It was a very based album. I really thoroughly enjoyed it, honestly. So if you want to look into that as well, Gasoline Vertebrate is a guy who has been canceled by the woke mob, and this album reflects sentiments from that. So if you want to look into that and see what he's got to say, I think you might really enjoy it. Especially if you also hate the woke mob. I do. I think most of us do. It's just a reason to bully is all it is. Cry bully stuff. But yeah. So send me a message if you want to write for us, if you want to have us review something, if you want us to listen to something and do some sort of review. Yeah, send it in. I am looking for writers. I am looking for content. So send it my way. Be happy to look at it. All right, back to the ritual stuff. I used to be an open occultist, and when I recommitted to Christianity, I threw out my septagram necklaces and my pagan rings because I didn't want to wear other religious iconography. Yeah, I can get that. Like, I personally don't like to have pentagrams. I have a purse with pentagrams on it, but it's a cute purse, and it's not like they're necessarily the focal point of it. My current purse, I didn't notice that it had like an upside down star on it with the Baphomet head, but you can barely see it. So I'm like, okay, you barely see it, and it was on sale, so I got it. But I don't like, and I don't do religious iconography for myself. It's just what I don't do. It's yeah. You know, if that's your thing, fine. But I just stay away from it completely. I just want to have enough respect for others and others' religions to just stay away from that in general. But like in my younger days, I was baptized Church of Christ. My mother was raised Catholic, so I've always celebrated traditional Christian holidays. Still do. So if anything, that's where I have my loyalties. Anyway, it is about an hour in, so we're going to go ahead and wrap it up. My throat is like out because of this little cough I have. So thank you for being patient with me. My little cough here, my sniffles. But I do want to thank y'all for coming in, discussing the Boer. I do hope that I do hope for peace for everyone. And that sounds like I said, with the rose-colored glasses, peace, not only just because selfishly I don't want our government to get involved in anything else, because we have to get involved in everything, and that's our tax dollars and our people who are being sent over there. But I truly hope and wish the best for humankind and for people all over the globe. Liberty is the best route for everyone. And I wish that for everyone. Of course, it's not going to happen, but I do hope the new refugees settle in nicely. And I do hope peace talks with Iran go well, and that all this straightens out. Because I don't want us to get in any more wars. I don't want us to have to deal with any of that mess. Like, and I hope Ukraine comes to an end too. That's another thing I just want to quickly mention. Apparently, Putin skipped the talks. Where's Zelensky? Yeah, I would too. But it's whatever. It's whatever. He's gonna do what he wants to do. But hopefully that will end soon. To make people, being lost in that terrible, terrible war there. It's like it's just really sad. Like there's like generations of men, in families. Just that's another stream though. Anyway, I do hope you'll have a great rest of the night. My throat is starting to sound a little scratchy. Apologies. Once again, thank you for coming in. And always lead with kindness unless they don't deserve it. Bye.